Hey guys, my name is Jeff, and today we're checking out a very special car. This is the full carbon fiber bodied C68 Carbon from Exomod, and this particular car happens to be making over 1,000 horsepower on pump gas. And to talk about it, we have a very special guest. This is the CEO and founder of Exomod, Rick Katzeff. Now Rick, can you tell us what exactly it is that we're looking at here with the C68 Carbon?
Sure, Jeff. This is our most recent build. We just finished it up. And it's our first ever full transparent candy tinted carbon reveal.
Yeah, and it is gorgeous in the sun. You know, obviously you guys have built a lot of these cars at this point for what they are, and they've always had some exposed carbon fiber on them, but it can be a little bit hard to appreciate sometimes if people aren't looking at the details or if the car's in the shade. And then this one is now all exposed carbon, and that's not all that's been done to this car, right?
Correct. Yeah, we actually partnered with Hennessey Performance to modify the engine and powertrain, and this Hellcat redeye is actually boosted to over 1,000 horsepower on pump gas.
Yeah, that is a crazy amount, and of course we'll show you guys all the details in this video as we go through the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course we'll take it for a drive to get some awesome engine noise, right?
Nice.
So getting into the exterior of this beautiful car, what exactly is it that we're looking at? What is a C68 Carbon?
Well, a C68 Carbon is a reimagined 68 Dodge Charger on a brand new Hellcat platform. So it's basically old school muscle on modern tech.
And now I imagine there's some performance benefits, right? As carbon fiber is generally pretty light. Are there any weight savings with this?
Yeah, this is 400 pounds lighter than a typical Hellcat chassis.
Good Lord. So even if this one wasn't equipped with the optional Hennessey package, this thing would definitely see some slight performance upgrades.
You really would, right? 10% weight difference.
And now this thing is also incredibly wide. Has the actual width of the carbon changed at all?
It is. It's 4.5 inches wider than the old school 68, 69, 70 Dodge Chargers.
And yet you've still managed to retain a lot of the proportions, and it looks the part. But I mean, even the front here, right? You have a lot of the Charger grille components and everything that have been added into this.
Correct.
Right?
That's a wider grille by 4.5 inches. We have custom CNC machined headlight louvered doors that are open on this rather than closed the way the old school was, because it's a modern car with DRLs that, you know, need to be exposed when you're driving the car during the day, because the car is actually titled as a 2023 Dodge Challenger Hellcat redeye.
So this is your most recent build, as we mentioned earlier, and while a lot of the previous cars have been mostly painted with some exposed carbon parts, this one is now exposed carbon for the entire body. Now, what was the reason for the change?
Well, I was inspired after seeing a purple tinted carbon on a Hispano Suiza in Monterey during Car Week. And then I saw a midnight blue Pagan Utopia that was all carbon fiber, and I looked into it and I saw it was a crazy 6-digit figure to have that option on your car. And my team and I wanted to develop that same style, but for the muscle car world that costs a lot less.
Yeah, so there you go, a little bit of hypercar, supercar flair. Now obviously, this is a different undertaking too, right? This isn't just as simple as painting the car. So what were some of the things that you had to do differently to get this to work on the C68 Carbon?
Well, to really get this type of depth in a transparent carbon finish, you have to put down a lot of coats of clear. And you, after each set of coats, we'll say 3 to 4 coats, it cures, and we have to block and polish it, wet sand it, and then shoot more clear on top of it. And we do that multiple times, so the final product has 17 coats of clear. Over 7 gallons of clear coat is on this car.
Which is more than you typically use if it was like a standard paint, right? To make sure that it's all protected and
correct. A standard painted car would use between 2 and 2.5 gallons of clear.
Okay, and then talk to me about some of the stuff that we've got going on in here, because obviously you've got all of the 68 Charger style components, but there's all sorts of things that are specific to Exomod that you guys designed in-house to put on the cars, right?
Exactly. So the front grille is basically from a 68 Charger that we modify to widen 4.5 inches. The headlight doors are custom CNC machine billet aluminum that are see-through, which you have to have DRLs exposed on modern cars. This is titled as a 2023 Dodge Challenger.
And so behind that, we actually have the cold air intake headlights, which look absolutely menacing when those are on with this car as they peek out behind that rear grille. And then below that, what else are we looking at here? Obviously, we have that lower splitter that you mentioned earlier. That's carbon fiber.
Yes, that is carbon fiber. We have extra driving lights that we installed for extra night vision.
Yeah, that helps.
It does. The lower grille allows air into the engine oil cooler and power steering cooler and intercooler to really get the air flowing through this car.
So taking a look at the hood here, you guys do various updates and changes throughout, and this is actually the latest version of the hood, right? This is the version 3 hood?
Correct. And this hood has a larger air intake to allow more air to go through to enter the cold air intake to feed the hungry Hennessey-inspired Hellcat redeye.
Which is a pretty big change. You know, oftentimes when people do carbon fiber hoods and stuff like that on street cars, it's oftentimes an overlay, right? They'll reuse the steel case underneath. But what you guys have here, because you've committed to this full carbon fiber body, you now have this proprietary hood that also happens to be functional, both carbon on the top layer and the inside layer for the car as well,
Correct,
right?
and it's actually carbon fiber on the top and bottom piece that is actually bonded together.
So moving on to the side of the car, obviously this is based on the Hellcat platform, which means you get the full modern, fully independent suspension integrated with the SRT dashboard and stuff like that. But you also get the massive Brembo brakes that come with these cars, and even these very cool Forgeline wheels. You mind telling me a little bit about the wheels that are on this car?
Sure, these are custom offset 3-piece Forgeline wheels. We actually partner with Forgeline out of Dayton, Ohio. And this is the VX model. And it exposes the most area behind the wheel to see the massive 15.7-inch rotors and the big SRT Brembo calipers. And these wheels are actually finished in a transparent satin brass monkey,
which is a very cool finish. Now, obviously, a lot of these cars are usually built to the customer spec, right? So
Correct.
It kind of changes based on the build. A lot of customers tend to lean more towards the modern style for the Forgeline wheels, right? But you guys have also built some cars with more of the retro style, right?
Yeah, we sure did. Our first build was a heritage style, and we did satin black steelies with dog dish hubcaps.
Which is very cool. The fact that you kind of flip-flop, right, between do you want the full modern take, or do you want the sort of retro 1968 resto mod, or retro mod look, we should say. So moving into the rest of the body, this thing is just gorgeous, and you can see all of the various carbon as it continues throughout the car. I mean, just look at the A-pillars, and even some of the hidden areas like the cowl, which actually has this contrasting Pagan gold throughout, which you didn't necessarily have to do on the car, but it's a cool detail and just shows the workmanship, right? I mean, the carbon is literally everywhere. There's no shortcuts. This isn't something as simple as doing a carbon overlay. I mean, this is a full carbon fiber body, right?
It sure is.
So what are some of the details and stuff that you guys pointed out? Because oftentimes with cars like this, it's hard to get things right. You know, sometimes they're limited by the hard points of the manufacturer's car that it's based on, or etc. But you seem to have integrated a lot of the retro details, right? I mean, even the actual hood lines and everything all look correct. You got the nice big swooping rear pillars for that Charger style.
Yeah, you know, that flying buttress design of the rear quarter panels where it meets the rear windshield is such an amazing design element that the designers over at Chrysler, Dodge, and Plymouth, you know, put together, you know, back in the mid-60s. It's such a great look.
And then how about some of the windows, and are all cars equipped with a sunroof, or can that be changed based on the car?
That's optional. I option to use a sunroof car. We don't install the sunroof aftermarket. That would be a Challenger equipped option that we basically build around.
Okay, very cool. So as we come around to the back here, now you have some incredibly thick tires on the rear here. So obviously the fact that the car has been widened means you are allowed more real estate for tire, right? So what are we looking at here in the back?
Yeah, these are 20 by 12 rear wheels.
Good
the
Lord.
tires are 315/35 ZR20s. We go with the Nitto NT555s. Some of my favorite wheels. We actually partner with Nitto on our rubber choice. And
that helps to put down the power, especially when they opt for the optional Hennessey package, right? For
absolutely.
like this car is equipped with.
Absolutely.
Helps, doesn't necessarily fix all the power.
No, you can definitely, you can fry the tires, and when you're going 70 miles an hour and you mash the pedal, you actually will do a rolling burnout.
Wow, yeah, I get that. Plus you have all the SRT dashboard stuff, right? So this car
Sure.
even has line lock still.
It sure does.
Which functions with the car. And technically, all of the parts that were kind of carried over from the Hellcats, the suspension basics, would still be covered under that Mopar warranty,
Yeah,
right?
they sure are.
And then even the powertrain under some of the other builds that kind of keep the more Hellcat powertrain stuff are covered by Dodge. But then when you opt for the Hennessey build, as we'll show later in the bit, that you get the 3-year Hennessey warranty, right?
Exactly. And that's on top of the standard warranty. It's
Very
a supplemental package that Hennessey offers, which is just amazing. And they're incredible with their customer service and standing behind their work.
Very cool. So as we come to the back of the car, we have some more exciting details, right? We have a very cool iconic gas cap, right? That kind of integrated that into some of the Challenger builds. But then here, you've also gone and integrated it into your brand new carbon fiber body, right?
Yeah, we have. That's actually, that flip-top gas cap is painted with Pagan gold Kandy. And we actually modify the fuel fill on these because on the Challengers, they're on the vertical surface of the quarter panel, but we relocate it to be on top of the quarter panel, so it's just like the old school Chargers.
Very cool. And in the back, we've got some Bumblebee stripes. And now these are almost kind of like an Exomod trait to some extent, right?
They are. They are. These stripes are actually transparent Pagan gold Kandy, which contrasts the Kandy apple red extremely well.
Yeah, and this must take some serious effort to get right, because obviously, you know, the stripes themselves are a very cool detail, but then you also match the taper of the body as it comes to here in the back, right?
Yeah, the way that we do it is we actually mask off the car first when we finish it, and we do the stripes first. And don't put clear on it, and then remove the masking after it cures, paint the rest of the car, and then clear over the entire top so there's no ridge lines between the stripes and the body.
Very cool. So coming to the back of the car here, obviously still very reminiscent of a 1968 Dodge Charger, but with a twist, right, for the C68 Carbon. What all do we have going on back here, Rick?
We've got a lot of new parts on this build because we really wanted to turn the dial to 15. And what we have here is we have a full carbon fiber tail panel with integrated taillight housings, all in carbon fiber, and we were able to accent the taillight housings in the Pagan gold Kandy to accent the smoked carbon reveal tail panel.
Yeah, which is a fantastic contrast. You know, at first glance, it almost looks black, but the more you spend looking at this car, all the details become apparent. And do you know if you guys are the first ones to make, I mean, this has to be the first carbon tail panel for...
This is the first tail panel, yes it is.
Obviously more so proprietary to the C68 Carbon, not going to just fit on it.
No, it's 4.5 inches wider, so it's proprietary to our bespoke builds.
Very cool, while still retaining a lot of that classic styling. And even into the rest of the car, right? So what all do we have going on here?
Yeah, we have a newly redesigned lower rear valence with exhaust cutouts, full carbon reveal, as you can see, with the transparent Kandy apple red. And below that, we have our brand new rear diffuser that is adorned in Pagan gold Kandy transparent carbon.
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, you know, these cars, you've been producing them for, I guess, 2 years, probably in production longer than that, obviously, right?
Correct.
To do the planning and everything like that. But obviously you keep updating the cars, and as you do more things and keep moving the company forward, like a carbon reveal car, for example, you've engineered new stuff that sort of seamlessly blends all that carbon together, right?
Yeah, that's the intention, is, you know, each build gets a little bit more refined and improves each one, but my crew are just perfectionists. They have a lot of passion and love for building these Chargers, and they really continuously try to outdo themselves for each build to be better than the last.
So under the two-piece carbon fiber hood, we now have a great look at the engine. So what are we looking at here, Rick?
This is a Hennessey-inspired H1000 package. This engine in particular is putting out 1,057 horsepower. It's mated to the 8 HP90, which has been reprogrammed and recalibrated by Hennessey Performance. And this car actually has the optional redeye rear gear, which is 3.09 for higher performance.
Very nice. So obviously a pretty significant upgrade, and you combine that with the 400 pounds in weight savings that we had earlier. This is a very, very fast car, but this isn't the only engine option. Obviously this particular car is the H1000 package, which might be described as the top of the line engine option for these cars, right? But you guys will build them with any engine, or how does that work?
We sure will. Whichever power plant that our client defines, we would be happy to build it on. We could build it on a Scat Pack. We could build it on a 717 horsepower Hellcat, an 807 horsepower redeye, all the way up to the H1000 package.
Very nice. And now obviously there's some more stuff to look at here, right? It's not just the sort of standard Hellcat engine bay. We've got all sorts of stuff that we're looking at here, even more carbon fiber, right? What else is going on in the engine bay?
Yeah, well, what we have here is we have a Pagan gold transparent Kandy closeout panel in the front. On the cowl is a transparent Pagan gold carbon cowl panel. It's a candy apple red supercharger cover, and each one of our cars is actually serialized and with a number of the actual build and whether it's a C68 or a C69 carbon model.
Very cool, very cool. And so that's a quick look at the powertrain for the C68 Carbon. So next, moving on to the interior, what do we have going on in here?
We have custom designed leather seats featured in doeskin and Havana with old gold diamond stitching.
And then is this the only color you offer, or is there a variety of other color interior options, etc.?
Whatever you can think of, we can design when it comes to the interior.
Very nice. And obviously the interior retains a lot of the Hellcat functionality, and everything here works as intended for the original Hellcats, right?
It absolutely does. The airbags work, all the different functionality is still intact.
So you get all of the modern interior safety, creature comforts, etc., and also all of the performance mods that are available in the Hellcat, right?
Correct, including the heated and cooled seats.
And you guys just bring it, update it a little bit more to make it match the rest of the car, right?
Yeah, exactly. We actually personalize it so each build is bespoke.
With that, that is the end of the video. Big thanks to Rick over at Exomod for making this video happen and taking some time out of his busy schedule. That being said, if you have any interest in picking up an Exomod vehicle for yourself, be sure to reach out to Rick. He's a super nice guy and would be more than happy to help you build the C68 Carbon, C69, or even the D69 based on the Daytona of your dreams, and make sure they put that in your garage. That is, however, also the end of the video. Feel free to jump in the comments down below and let me know what you think about their latest creation as a full carbon reveal. If you could leave me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it, and consider getting subscribed for more content like this in the future. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.